Hey guys, Jack Cypher here, back with another video today. This time we're going to be doing a character analysis on the Warden, or now Vice Warden, of Impel Down, Magellan. Now, Magellan is one of the most underrated characters in all of One Piece. I reckon, straight up, that he's an Admiral level opponent. If you guys don't accept that tier of strength, he's just below Admiral. He's basically knocking on their door into that position of Admiral level strength. And I'll go over why I think that later on in the video, when we get into all these feats and all the deeds that he's done in the Impel Down arc. But this is a truly, truly imposing and threatening man that we have here that we're talking about. And the fact that he basically just shows up for one arc, and then we barely ever see him again. Of course, he's going to have future roles to play with Doflamingo and everything, but we'll get into that at the end. Is just so shocking. Because Oda just introduced this behemoth of a character that was unstoppable. In Impel Down, you had warlords and future Yonko, and they couldn't slow this man down. All they could do was escape. And that's how they won. That's how they got the victory over Magellan, by escaping him. When you've got an enemy that you can't defeat, when you have a lineup of all-star level strength, you know that you're dealing with some serious shit. And that is what Magellan is. Some serious shit. So let's get into him. Like I said, we first get introduced to him as Warden of Impel Down. We find out a very funny quirk from him, that he spends 10 hours of the day having diarrhea on the toilet. Now, why does he have diarrhea, you ask? It's because he eats poisonous food constantly, and even though it doesn't agree with him, he will still continuously eat it. The reason why it doesn't straight out kill him is because he ate the venom fruit, so he's a venom man. As you would imagine, he can control all different types of poison. It's basically, at least according to Caesar, who we've just recently done a video, I would heavily suggest going to go watch it, it was quite a good one. It's a weaker devil fruit than Caesar's. So you know how we have Ake Inu's stronger Magu no Mi and Ace's Flame fruit, the Mera no Mi, and the Mera fruit's weaker than the Magma fruit. This is the same here, at least according to Caesar. Of course, one's a Paramecia and one's a Logia. It's hard to tell whether or not Caesar's being honest there, because the Gasu no Mi is actually a very, very underrated fruit. In that Caesar video, I mentioned that with the damage that Caesar was able to do with it, of course he's a scientist and everything, but if you found someone like that who was more combat orientated, you were going to have a serious threat on your hands there. Think of all the things, the deadly substances, the deadly things we've created out of gases in our real world, and then imagine what someone with that power in the One Piece world could do when harnessed to its full capabilities. So it very well could be the stronger version of I believe it's the Doku no Mi, the venom fruit. But even if it is the weaker version, with the way Magellan wields it, that difference in power is basically non-existent. So we get his funny quirk of him shitting liquid 10 hours of the day, because he shits for 10 hours of the day, and I think he sleeps for 8 hours. So he's only doing his job 6 hours a day. So he's essentially a part-timer. But Oda's given him this, and he's made it amusing. He's made it amusing, as he does with a lot of his characters. But he's given him this quirk, if you would, because this is basically Magellan's only weakness, and it's the only reason why the Impel Down rebellion and breakout was able to happen. Because if he was, let's say Ake Inu was the warden of Impel Down, and he had the same powers as Magellan, no one would be getting out with Ake Inu's attitude. Well, not so much attitude, but with Ake Inu's actions. But with giving him this gimmick, it allows openings for all this chaos to ensue. And we know Luffy, he loves creating chaos. He's teamed up with Buggy, another character that just thrives on chaos. But that's our first introduction to him. A little bit of a quirky moment. After this, we immediately start to see the dynamics between a few of the characters. He has oh my god, Jack. An antagonistic, there we go, we got it on the third time, relationship with the Vice Warden, Hannibal. Now, despite these two going back and forth, because Hannibal is always kind of saying things under his breath about Magellan having to step down from Warden and how he should be the Warden and stuff like that. And Magellan doesn't like these, comments questioning his authority. So Magellan and Hannibal are always butting heads. Having said that, from Magellan's own words, Hannibal is the only character that has the resume, has the willpower, and has the necessary skills to replace Magellan as Warden. So Magellan himself thinks that there's no one else more capable than Hannibal. And we're going to get into that a little bit when we discuss Magellan's personality section, which we'll do towards the end. That section is mainly going to be about Magellan's pride. Like, I'm not going to say that Magellan's a one-dimensional character, because he's not. But the most interesting side of his personality is his pride and how should you say this? His reverence for Impel Down. And we'll get into that, like I said, towards the end of the video. But he immediately shows that he's a little bit weak-willed himself when he encounters Boa Hancock and immediately starts simping for her. To be honest, who wouldn't? But Magellan does show that that Boa Hancock just has him tied around her little finger. Wrapped around her little finger, I should say. And she immediately asks him to go down and see Ace, who's in level 6, because of how much of an important prisoner he is. So they make their way down to level 6. And level 6 is... in the future, I'm going to do I'll do a video on different locations in the One Piece world. Impel Down especially, though. I might actually start with that when I start doing videos on all the different locations in One Piece. But if you don't know, level 6 of Impel Down is the worst level you can go to. It's where all the most heinous criminals in the world go to, everyone with 100 million berry bounty and over. They're also people that have had their names erased from history. Now, when they go down there, Hancock's speaking to Ace, and because of how beautiful Hancock is, even if she wasn't as beautiful as she was, this is the first time a lot of these prisoners have seen a woman. They're spending all their time seeing goddamn minotaurs and venom demon men. So they're very excited, we should say. They're leering, they're catcalling her, they're being real nuisances. And Magellan has had enough of this. And with his venom fruit power, his signature attack is a move called the Hydra, where he does it with either one head or 3 heads. A Hydra made out of poison spreads out across his body, and he uses that to take people down instantly. And when these prisoners are being disrespectful, that's what he does. He whips out the Hydra, and he takes one of them out immediately. The poison Hydra goes slamming into one of the cells, and one of the prisoners there gets poisoned and immediately dies. Now, like I said, this is someone that would have 100 million berry bounty and over. So technically somewhere around the strength of Alabaster Luffy, give or take. Now, Magellan just one-shots him with ease, and he has one of the most badass lines in the series, certainly in this arc. He says, "I not only have the authority, but also the ability to execute any one of you whenever I please." It is chilling, and it shuts them all up. This guy is so terrifying that he can overpower the lust that they're all feeling for Hancock. Because before this, they were making fun of Magellan as well, calling him Diarrhea Man and all this type of stuff. But Magellan's not really... those opinions to him don't matter, because these people are trash in his mind. He's not going to listen to the opinions of mere prisoners. But when they start insulting Hancock, that is then starting to insult the... what's the word? It's starting to insult the credibility of Impel Down. And we know how much Magellan cares about Impel Down, and that's when he snaps. That's when he brings out the Poison Hydra, and that's when he goes to town on them. Now, after Hancock has a little moment with Ace, Magellan then transports Ace to the Marines waiting outside. And as he's doing this, he finds out that Straw Hat Luffy has invaded Impel Down, and he's causing havoc alongside Buggy the Clown. Now, Magellan had the opportunity to speak to the Marines there and ask for some assistance. Be like, oh, hey guys, we've got some inmates going loose. Do you mind sparing a few men to help us quell it? But he doesn't. Because, like we were saying, that ruins some credibility of Impel Down. If he needs to resort to outside help, that, in his mind, is a weakness. And he's not going to show that, so he's going to handle it all himself. And he does a pretty good job at it. So, he sends Ace on his way, and then he goes back down. Now, I don't know if this is before he beats Luffy, spoiler alert, or if it's after it, but he has this scene where he unleashes this poison cloud that kills and takes... I don't know if it actually kills. I imagine it would have killed them. Nearly a whole level of escaped inmates that were causing a riot. He just sends this poison mist cloud out and it just takes them all down. Because there's nothing they can do to defend themselves. Now, whether, like I said, in the timeline, whether or not that was before Luffy or after, it's around this section anyway. But the big meat and potatoes of this part is his battle with Luffy. He confronts Luffy down on level 4, so this is the Burning Hell phase. And Luffy is teamed up with Bong Clay, who we'll get into more later, Buggy the Clown, and Galdino, I believe his name is. Is it Galdino or Gardino? Either way, Mr. 3, Candle Hair Man. And this is where a really, really great fight between Luffy and Magellan happens. Calling it a fight is a little bit generous. It's more of a one-sided stomp. Now, Luffy immediately realizes that Magellan is out of his league. But he can't do anything but confront him because he needs to rescue Ace. And Magellan is standing in his way, so he's going to push through that. Magellan immediately has a counter to Luffy because he coats his whole body in poison. So he's not a low gear, but with the way he coats his body in it, it doesn't, it's not a durability feat. It doesn't make him more durable, more defensive stats. But what it does do, it causes enemies to be hesitant to attack him. Especially someone like Luffy that resorts to hand-to-hand combat, because he goes to punch him, but then his fist gets coated in poison, and that then starts sinking into his skin, and he starts getting poisoned. And these poisons, depending on how much gets on him, does gradual effects of damage. Things like making him not be able to hear, not being able to see, causing pain throughout his body, making him paralyzed. Different effects. Now, it should be noted that Luffy does get a few attacks in. He gets a jet bazooka in on Magellan that looks really, really cool in the anime. I'll put a picture of it up on the screen. And that kind of staggers Magellan to one knee. And his eyes, if I'm remembering, kind of go a little bit white. But I'm not calling that a anti-feat in Magellan's durability, because he gets up right away. He doesn't even fall on his back. He pulls some Katakuri stuff and just gets right back up and really doesn't show any signs of being hurt. This is one thing. Magellan, in the whole arc, barely attains any injuries whatsoever. So not only is he taking on Warlord-level opponents, but he's doing it without getting injured, really. So the fight continues. Luffy's having a hard time contending with Magellan's Hydra technique. Luffy will try to attack him, but the Hydra will defend and attack. So Magellan has offense and defense down pat. He does venom bullets that shoot out at Luffy and are able to dissolve the wall. Kind of like a miniature version of his later Venom Demon technique. And he uses this purple gas jellyfish cloud poison technique, which really messes with Luffy's senses. And Luffy, in this weakened state, is trying to attack him gum pistols and everything, but none of them are hitting Magellan because his accuracy is just all over the place thanks to all these effects from Magellan's poison. Oh. Sorry for the sniffing, guys. It's been a week and I'm still sick. It is ridiculous. I'm trying not to though, so just please bear with me. But in Luffy in this weakened state, he gives one final stand. He goes to try push through. This is where we would be as the audience cheering him on. Come on, Luffy, you can do this. Thinking that he's going to be able to overcome this enemy. You know, awaken a secret power. Put up a super duper scheme. Do something to be able to get away. But it's just not enough. Magellan pulls out the Hydra again and smothers Luffy down in it. In a cascade of poison. And Luffy is just taken out. He gets defeated. There are not many characters that defeat Luffy so thoroughly. Of course, you have characters like Big Mom and Eneru that defeat Luffy to the point where, you know, he's out of the fight, but he's not, like, unconscious. You know what I mean? He doesn't get, like, truly defeated. They more just, you know, get him out of the way. Lucci is another villain that takes him out in one shot with a finger pistol and then throws him out of the building. But to Luffy's credit, he doesn't really fall unconscious. From my memory, now, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments here, but I think there's only 3 villains that beat Luffy so bad that he, you know, becomes unconscious. It is... like, because once again, people like Doflamingo, where Luffy just reaches a time limit and he's not able to move, I'm not counting. I'm talking about true defeats here. So, my list is Crocodile. He beat him not just once, but twice. Kaido was the other one. He thoroughly defeated him in their first fight, and beat him again in their second fight, enough to the point where I'd say, yeah, you truly just got defeated. Their third encounter I'm not including, because that was some outside interference that got in the way of Kaido defeating him. So Kaido and Crocodile both have 2 W's over Luffy. Magellan is the other one. He beat him so thoroughly that there was no kind of counter-argument to it. He just got beat. And this, as this fight was going on, we get Bon Clay in it, and his involvement in it is great foreshadowing for what happens. He's running scared, because like everyone else in the prison, he doesn't want to fight Magellan, because he knows that you can't beat him. He's not the god, he's the all-powerful demon of Impel Down. He's the poison of God. I think I might use that for the thumbnail. That's a cool title for him. The poison of God here is just insurmountable. None of them in the prison are able to beat him. And that is the greatest strength of Impel Down. It's Magellan. Not just his abilities, but just the reputation and fear that he installs in everyone there. Most 99% of pirates, even if they could escape, probably wouldn't, because they know Magellan's all-powerful shadow is looming over this prison. He's the final boss. You're not getting away from him. And Bon Clay knows this. He's been in Impel Down long enough to understand it. And he's not brave enough to help his friend Luffy in this fight. Now, we know he changes his mind, and we know he's insurmountable about protecting Luffy in level 5. And we know that when Ivankov is treating Luffy of the poison, it's Bon Clay standing there screaming and cheering Luffy on to recover when no one else would. He's non-stop. He damages his vocal cords that he's trying to support him that much. Like, Bon Clay doesn't know if this is going to do anything, but us as the audience know, without Bon Clay's support there, Luffy would have died. If Bon Clay wasn't there, Luffy would have died there. Mark my words on that. Straight from an idiot YouTuber, he would have died. It's one of the greatest moments in Impel Down. It's one of the best moments in One Piece. There's a reason why everyone loves Bon Clay. Oda has just done a fabulous, fabulous job with him. And that scene of cowardice first in the Magellan fight, to then overcoming that, to then the crescendo at the end is just, it's beautiful. And we'll get into that at the end. But Magellan, after taking down Luffy, he frees Shiryu. So Shiryu was the head jailer of Impel Down, and Magellan imprisoned him because Shiryu had a wanton lust of killing people, not doing his duties as a jailer, not killing people for duty's sake, but killing people for pleasure's sake. He got off on murdering people. And Magellan's like, enough's enough. What are you doing here? What's his overall theme of this video being? Shiryu was destroying the credibility and the perception of Impel Down. And Magellan wouldn't have that. So he's like, son, you're going off to prison. And Shiryu didn't dispute him. He's like, all right, Dad, I'll go. Now, lots of people will say Shiryu has done this because he has known that there'll be a scenario where Magellan needs his power to, handle the situation, so Magellan will, free him. Having said that, when Magellan does free him, he does say it's not a situation where he's like, all right, come help me and you're off free. He's like, you're getting your ass back in this prison after this. I need your help now, but after that, it's back in the cell. And to me, that's the biggest argument on why Shiryu went into that cell willingly. Of course we know he went in willingly, but went in because he couldn't defeat Magellan. It's kind of played out to be that, it's the scales tip for either side. I reckon Shiryu definitely knew he couldn't beat Magellan. Keep in mind that Shiryu is heavily expected to be the strongest commander in Blackbeard's crew, a Yonko crew, because of his mirroring with Zoro, which, makes sense. I get why people think that. Going to show Magellan's freaking strength here. But I reckon Shiryu went in there because he knew that there was two options. He could fight Magellan now and die, or he could go to prison and hope that there would be a situation that would arise or a means for Shiryu to escape. And I reckon he's played the odds and he's like, you know what, I'm going to do this. I don't reckon he'll kill me immediately, and I'll try to look for a way to get out of here. And, join up with a crew, or not join up with a crew, but explore some options that will better succeed me in life. And that's what he does. Speaking of escapes, though, I should really mention, before the main storyline, we get to see one scene from Magellan, and it's when he's a vice warden of Impel Down. And we see this because we see the Golden Lion Shiki escaping. And we find out that Shiki is the only man in the entire history of the prison that has been able to escape. He cuts off his own legs, which were being shackled down by Sea Prism Stone, and he uses Devil Fruit power to fly the hell out of there. Now, a lot of you people are probably going to be in the comments, Jack, you're a goddamn idiot. Shiki's not canon, blah, 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 blah. Shiki is a canon character. He did escape from Impel Down. The events of Strong World aren't canon, but Shiki the character is 100% canon. We see him in Wano, we see him here, and we get confirmation from it from Oda. It's similar to Uta. I've just brought out a video of Uta. It was a what-if scenario of if Luffy joined Shanks, so go check that out. I'll put it up on the screen. She's a canon character as well. It's just the events of the movie weren't canon. So now that we've got the canonicity of it cleared up, we see that Magellan is very disturbed that Shiki got away, because that's tarnished the image of Impel Down. That can't be happening. Prisoners can't be escaping. It is doing a disservice to this prison that stands for something. What the prison stands for, that's what I'm going to get into in the personality bit, because there's an overall theme in all this. Magellan doesn't have this massive pride and this massive respect for Impel Down for no reason, at least according to me, and I'll get into why the credibility of this prison plays a big part. So I hope you guys are interested, because I'm hooking you with this, so stay tuned to the end when we decipher why he thinks that. But speaking of where we're up to, he releases Shiryu, and then what does he do? Well, he does all the stuff after this, but the next major thing that he does, it is probably the most, I'm just trying to, probably the most disrespectful moment in the entire anime that like one character has done to another. I don't think that there is anything more disrespectful than what happens. Um, Let me know down in the comments if you disagree. I think you'd kind of have a good idea of where I'm going with this, or what scene I'm talking about. You guessed it. It's Magellan taking out the entire Blackbeard crew. So that is Doku, Lafitte, Jesus Burgess, and what's the other dude's name? Orga, the sniper, and Blackbeard himself. So Blackbeard is currently a warlord at this time, a warlord that has just defeated a Yonko commander and a future Yonko. So he's walking and he sees Magellan walking to him, and Magellan is just giving him this death stare. And Magellan's like, Blackbeard's like, I have a funny feeling that you're Magellan. And Magellan doesn't even spare him another glance. He whips out the Hydra and he takes down the entire crew with one attack. This ocean of poison comes, crashes down on the on the Blackbeard crew, and completely beats them. He KOs all of them. Shiryu comes down, gives them the antidotes, and saves them, which leads to Blackbeard being able to do what he does. But they just got defeated. Like, there's no ifs or buts about it. He just defeated them. He's just defeated 2 future Yonko in a single arc. It's probably a feat that's never been seen before. And it is... This is how, mangakas and everything, this is how you build up an opponent. You give him a feat like this, and it's just... it's crazy. Now, of course, the arguments are going to be, Blackbeard, he was being overconfident. It wasn't a proper fight. He let his guard down. I don't give a shit. He just defeated a warlord / high Yonko commander opponent, and he defeated his 4 crew members that would be, at this stage, would probably be around your, Zoro level strength pre-time skip. That's just headcanon for me, but narratively, I reckon they would be around that level of power. And Magellan just wipes them out. So you can say that, they let their guard down, which they did. But the speed of Magellan's attack, the ferocity of it, was enough to still not have them be able to react. If that was someone like Katakuri, even if he was eating donuts, munching down, not paying attention, if he saw that coming, he would be able to get out of the way of that, thanks to his observation haki. But Blackbeard, his level of speed and reaction time just wasn't good enough. So at that current tier of strength, that high warlord level, you're getting taken out. It's further defended by what he did to Luffy, who's a warlord level opponent at this time. And, Luffy got a hit in on him, more than Blackbeard can say, but he still took Luffy down without much effort whatsoever. And we're about to get into it, so I'll wait 1 second. It won't take long at all. So he defeats Blackbeard. Jinbei and Crocodile, 2 more warlords, hesitant to take him on. They wanting to avoid him at all costs, which, just goes to show how much of a threat he is and makes my Admiral comparison all the more closer. But the last fight I want to get into him with before he goes Venom Demon is his fight with Ivankov. He fights him, which he's a high commander in the Revolutionary Army. Him and Bartholomew Kuma are Dragon's, and Sabo, are Dragon's top guys. So, to me, these are Yonko Commander level opponents as well, if not mid-tier Warlord level opponents. Now, I think this won because Ivankov was kind of narratively fighting with Kuma. Of course, Kuma was weakened because he was a cyborg, but with the confidence that Ivankov had to take him on, with how he was able to subdue Crocodile, of course that's through manipulations about revealing information. I'm a crocodile. But he's still, if Crocodile could just defeat him, he would. Narratively, to me, that implies that Ivankov is strong enough where Crocodile can't just beat him. That he might not even be able to beat him, but if he could beat him, it would be a lengthy battle back and forth, which might allow the information to get out. So, those, and with the, sorry, I talked over myself there. Can you tell they're not scripted? With the Revolutionary Army standpoint, the narrative implication there for me is that Dragon is essentially the Yonko, while his top three guys are his Yonko commanders. That just makes narrative sense to me. Jack, you guys could be thinking, Jack, you're a dumb idiot. They're not that. They're much weaker. They're much stronger. Either way, that's what I'm thinking in terms of their strength. I think logically it makes a lot of narrative sense. And he fights Magellan, and he does some moves to him. He's able to stall him for a little bit, which is the best that I can say here. But he too just gets taken out. Now, Ivankov is an opponent that can revitalize himself, which is what he does eventually. But Magellan left him for dead. If it was anyone other than Ivankov at that level of power, they would have died. So let's go. And then he takes out Inazuma with like one shot. So we have Ivankov, we have Crocodile and Jinbei being concerned about Magellan. We have Blackbeard, who's a literal warlord that has taken on a high Yonko commander, and there's Luffy, who has taken on at this time beaten two warlords and characters like Lucci and Eneru that are around that level of strength. So it's easy to say Magellan is warlord level. He's beating warlords though. So I did a video ranking the warlord strength. I'll put it up on the screen. Lots of self-advertising this video. But in that video, I put Kuma as the second strongest warlord behind Hawkeye Mihawk, not including Law and Blackbeard. Like, I put them on the list as well, but because they were Yonko and enemy like Law that had gotten so powerful, because this was in Wano when this was happening, Awakened Devil Fruit and everything, I had them above him. But with just the original 7 warlords, he would have been ranked second in my mind. Now, if you reckon that Ivankov is a similar level of strength with Kuma, and the only reason you'd really have to be going off that is narrative implication, so like I said, it's a little bit shaky, but if you were to say that, then Magellan is high warlord level. Now, warlord level, that's very non-descriptive, because they all vary in strength. Of course, we have a certain level of strength where we can just tell, yeah, you're a warlord level. For instance, the Straw Hats at this time, other than the big 3, wouldn't be a warlord level opponent. Sanji and Zoro as well, I don't reckon are beating warlords just at that time. Post-time skip, probably. Even then, like, Sanji gets bodied by Doflamingo. So it kind of gives you, like, post-time skip Sanji before Wano. He would be getting taken down by Magellan here still. I reckon Luffy would probably be getting taken down. Whether or not Gear Force would work on Magellan is... We just don't have enough information, because we don't have his durability stats. Luffy actually would be able to beat Magellan because of his immunity now to his poison. Magellan would have to go Venom Demon, and that would probably be his only counter to Luffy. But I would say that Magellan would beat Doflamingo. Those are 2 characters I've never thought about though, so I want to sit on it a little bit more until I confirm that. That could be a future versus battle. Let me know in the comments if that interests you. But from the logic we're going off here, Magellan is high warlord level. Because even if you don't compare Ivankov to Kuma, with the way the warlord level opponents here are reacting to him and being beaten by him, he would definitely be high warlord. Now, Mihawk, I reckon, is Yonko level. Fight me about it in the comments. But Warlord versus Admiral. We see the Warlords, other than Mihawk, be put on the defensive by an Admiral. It seems to go Yonko and Admiral. Even though I reckon some of the Admirals can put up a fight with the Yonko, but that's a story for another day. I did a video on it, guys. Go have a look. It's probably my most controversial video. I'll suck my dick a little bit more and I'll put it up on the screen. If we're going for self-advertising, we might as well do the most of it that we can. But I highly recommend going to go watch it. It's one of my shorter videos. Videos these days are 40 minutes plus. We're already on 35 minutes. This will probably be a 50-minute long video. But go check that one out. But so I reckon Magellan could fit in that category. If not, this is what I mean by like that just below. He's either High Warlord, we're talking about just over or just around Doflamingo Kuma level, if you're up to date with the manga, and just below Admiral level. But I would put him on the weaker end of the Admiral spectrum. The reason why I can't say it with certainty, now that I think on it, is that we don't really see Haki abilities from him. I very much imagine that he would have Haki. Whether or not he has Conquerors is up for debate. I mean, he literally was essentially the conqueror of Impel Down. He's the goddamn poison of God. You bet his ass would have Conqueror's Haki. But even if he doesn't, I reckon he would definitely have Armament and Observation Haki. If he didn't have it here, he would have developed it after his defeat, because that would have been great motivation to get stronger. But I'm talking too much. The next scene that I want to talk about is when all the prisoners are just about to escape. Magellan's hot on their heels. They've literally got the devil on their tails. And he goes Venom Demon. This is where he gets really Poison of God form here. He goes Venom Demon, and it is said that this ability could destroy all of Impel Down, which is a crazy, crazy feat. And Luffy's trying to defend against it. He uses Mr. Three's candle ability to try to defend against the poison, but does nothing against the toxicity of the Venom Demon. They would have all been killed. This is what I mean, guys. So at this time, Ivankov's obviously been taken out. He wings himself up and they get away. But at this time, it's Luffy, Jinbei, and Crocodile. It does Bones and stuff like that as well, but they're not going to do much here. I reckon against those two warlords, with Venom Demon coming, I don't think that they would be able to do anything. What do you guys think? But I reckon Magellan could potentially take out both of them and Luffy all at once in this form. He's got his goddamn toxic Susanoo going here. He's almighty God looking down on these ants, ready to just squash them. Poison them to Kingdom Come, dissolve them into mush is what he's going to do to them. I reckon they could probably put up a little bit of a fight. The only way I could see them winning that fight, assuming that they couldn't get away and they had to stand up and fight him, is if Jinbei was able to harness some of the ocean and, douse him in seawater to try and negate his devil fruit power. But the poison may just neutralize it with how much water Jinbei could, spring up. The reason why another argument in my favor of him beating all three of them is that they're trying to escape. Now, of course, that's their main goal, but at some point you get to the point where, alright, we need to turn around and we need to take this threat out before we can get away. But they don't. They only care about getting out of there. So I do reckon that he probably could have taken down all three of them. And if you look at it that way, if you look at Venom Demon Magellan, Poison Susanoo, Poison of God Magellan, that he would be able to beat 3 Warlord level opponents. After beating 1 Warlord opponent in Luffy, he's going to beat him again, and Ivankov, another one, and Blackbeard. So he's taken down 3 of them and still has the stamina necessary to potentially, in this idiot YouTuber's headcanon, defeat another 3 at once. He's definitely an Admiral level opponent. Fight me about it in the comments. But shenanigans happen, thanks to Jinbei's help, thanks to a death hell wink, they get away. and Magellan's not able to go after them because they're in the ocean. And because of Blackbeard, he lets out the level 6 prisoners that he wants, and the ones that he didn't want get up and they take down Magellan. Now, Jack, you're just calling him an Admiral level opponent. He just gets taken down by prisoners? Yeah, prisoners that have bounties over 100 million that were erased from history. They may not have been the strongest prisoners that in there, because Blackbeard obviously took them, but we don't know the number of them. It looked like some of those cells had like 10 people in each one. We're talking about probably, $5 billion worth of bounties in this level 6 that the prisoners are escaping from. So, yeah, Magellan couldn't beat all of them. They may have had Sea Prism Stone cuffs taken off them as well and had access to Devil Fruit powers. So it's by no means diss on Magellan. Even though in storytelling we never truly see it most of the time, sometimes quantity can beat quality. And I think that's what's happened there. And Magellan feels so ashamed of this that Sengoku gets news that Magellan is going to commit seppuku. Now, seppuku shouldn't get me taken down from YouTube, but for those of you who don't know what seppuku is, it is unaliving. I have to say that for YouTube regulations. I'm nearly done in this video, I promise. The hook that I was trying to get you with, we're about to go in. But Magellan says, that crazy fool, stop him from doing that. He is way too valuable for us. He can do so much more good being alive than dead. And they knock some sense into him, obviously, and he doesn't commit seppuku. We see him in one scene post-time skip, and he's guarding over Doflamingo, who has now been defeated by Luffy, and he's standing guard in front of his cell because there's word that an assassin from Marie Joie is going to come down and silence Doflamingo. Now, I'm not going to get into who I think the assassins would be, because it's spoilers, and this video I can do without any spoiler warnings. Though, for those of you who are in the know, though, who are up to date with manga chapters, I reckon that it will be the guys that are subordinates that we've just found out to the Gorosei. You know who I'm talking about. If you know, you know. I reckon it's probably going to be one of them that gets sent down to take out Doflamingo, and then Magellan's going to encounter them, fight them, and I reckon this could probably be the way that Doflamingo escapes in the chaos of it all. But we're going to get we're going to be able to get further feats of Magellan's strength there. But anyway, that's it. That's everything that Magellan does in the story, but we're going to go over his personality. We've already been over his abilities, Hydra's, Venom Dives, where he swims through Venom, Venom Demons, Venom Bullets, Venom Clouds, Venom Jellyfish, Venom. You know what we're talking about. He's got goddamn Spider-Man. We're going to get into his personality, and we're going to get this video done before 50 minutes. But his personality, like I said, the two aspects I wanted to go over, or the one aspect, his pride, I suppose too, and his reverence for Impel Down. Why does he have so much pride in Impel Down and therefore in himself? I reckon, and you guys might disagree with me here, everything from now is going to be speculation from this dumb YouTuber. I reckon it's because of how much he cares about the civilians in the One Piece world. Hear me out on that. So, we know that Magellan very, very much cares about the image of Impel Down. It can't be besmirched, whether it's from Shiki being the first man to escape or from Luffy being the first one to break into. This type of bad publicity cannot go on. The reason it can't go on is because the people in the One Piece world see this. They see the news of this. Someone was able to break into Impel Down. Someone was able to break out. This, and it starts making them worry, because they're like, what happens if these prisoners are able to escape and come and hurt us, cause chaos in the world? Or, in Shiryu's case, it can't be news of, did you hear about that head jailer in Impel Down? He was murdering prisoners. What a monster. Are these the people that's guarding us? That bad publicity cannot be going on, because it makes the citizens no longer think that Impel Down's a safe place. And why I think that, because Magellan is happy enough to kill any of the prisoners there, and like he said, he has the ability to do it. But the reason why he cares so much about the image of Impel Down and keeping everything in line is because of his deep care of the people of the One Piece world. My biggest argument in why I think this, because you guys could be going like, Jack, he barely shows any personality. Like, what makes you jump to that conclusion? If anything, he seems quite aloof. The reason I think this, and this is, like I said, I could just be jumping way ahead of myself. But if I'm right, this is great storytelling from Oda here. It's because of what he said to Hannibal. He says to Hannibal, you are the only man that can replace me if I fall. You're the one that's going to have to take my place and be warden. It can only be you. Hannibal, for the whole arc, doesn't seem very dependable. Like, he gets tricked and all this stuff. Why is Magellan thinking he would be a good candidate? The reason is because Hannibal really cares about the people in the One Piece world. We see this when he's confronting Luffy. Luffy's jet stomping him, jet punching him, all this type of stuff. And Hannibal's no match for Luffy. He can't beat him. But he's pulling MC freaking maneuvers, and he keeps getting back up. Someone needs to tell this guy whose bloody story he's in. But he keeps getting up, and boom, he gets beaten down, and he keeps getting back up. I will not let you pass me. Because of criminals like you, people can't live safe in the One Piece world. He is adamant about the defense of this prison because he doesn't want people to feel scared. The wardens and the jailers of Impel Down, they're not in the spotlight like the Marines are. They're not Navy heroes or anything like that. They're people that work in the background to ensure people's safety. And Hannibal and all the others in Impel Down don't need that recognition. They have enough satisfaction knowing that they're the ones who are defending everyone. And he gets back up. And he gets back up again. And eventually Blackbeard attacks him from behind and Hannibal goes down. We just saw it from our actual MC. Sometimes there are opponents you just can't beat. But it's that determination that Magellan sees. That's why Hannibal is the Vice Warden. That's why Magellan deals with all the disrespect. Because it's Hannibal is the only one there that has the passion that Magellan has as well. Magellan will go to death's door to prevent these prisoners from escaping because he doesn't want the people of the One Piece world to not be able to go to sleep at night and have fear over the people that are going to invade their island and cause them harm. It's all, in my opinion at least, from a very kind of morally righteous standpoint. He's not being an evil dictator or anything like that. He's not getting joys out of killing people. These are criminals, and like, we see pirates, as in like Luffy and Co, as heroes. But for most of the world, pirates are bad guys. They're villains. If we look at our own pirates, they're pillaging, they're murdering, they're sexual assaulting. I don't want to say the R word. I don't know if that will get me taken down from YouTube, but let me know about that in the comments. But they're doing all this heinous shit. And Magellan will do anything to stop that. That's why when he fails in the end, when not only all those prisoners escape, but the level 6 prisoners escape, that's why he wants to commit seppuku. Because he knows that these people are going to they're going to end a lot of lives. They're going to cause a lot of harm to the world, and he can't live with that. It causes too much self-hatred, self-loathing, and he wants to put an end to that. But someone's able to talk sense into him. I don't know who it would have been. It would have been nice if Hannibal was able to get back up and say it to him, but we don't know. It happens off screen. And they're able to knock some sense into him, being like, if you stay alive, Magellan, you're going to be able to do a lot more good for this world than if you just go and unalive yourself. You need to survive. I know it's going to be difficult, but surviving is going to be the way that you make this world a better place. And Magellan agrees because he doesn't commit seppuku. But he also is like, I failed here, I need to take a punishment. So he resigns to Vice Warden, while Hannibal is now the Warden. And I reckon out of this experience that they've both gone through, that their relationship would be a lot better, and Impel Down would just be all the stronger for it. Now, that's everything about Magellan I wanted to talk about. He's kind of like I don't want to say a misunderstood character, because like we said, we don't get too much into it. My whole theory about him being quite morally righteous is just my own headcanon. Let me know down in the comments what you guys think about that. But that's everything I wanted to discuss about him. There is a scene, now that I remember, with Bon Clay and him staying behind to let all the others escape. I'm going to get into that in a Bon Clay video. I feel like I'm going to talk about it for about 20 minutes, so it'd be better in his own separate video. We've just hit the 50-minute mark though, guys, so I'm going to end it here. It has been my pleasure talking about Magellan. Leave down in the comments everything you think about him. I'll leave you guys a pinned comment with the stuff I want you to mention. But I've been Jack Cypher. Make sure to like, make sure to subscribe. You know all the good stuff. It's been a pleasure deciphering Magellan, the poison of God. What do you think of the new name? But I've been Jack Cypher. Have a lovely day, peeps. Cypher out.